I am speaking with Diana Belbita fighting Dione Barbosa April 5th, UFC Vegas 105 at the Apex in Las Vegas. Diana, it's still a few weeks away, but I imagine you're very excited. First fight in a little over a year, so how's everything feeling heading into this?
Of course, I'm excited because being on a site for so long because of I was keep dealing with injuries. It's not fun, but I'm happy to be back now. And I kind of wanted to fight in March, so I was keep pushing to fight in March. But April is not bad. It's beginning of April, so I'm really excited for the fight, and I'm really excited for the matchup.
Now, you mentioned injuries, plural, and I know you had the elbow injury that you were dealing with. So, what else was keeping you out? Was it mainly the elbow? Were there other things that held you back?
The elbow, it healed pretty quick. I can complain about that. I didn't need surgery, so it healed pretty quick. It was just a tendon, was a partial torn tendon. But I had some wrist problems, and my knees are 80 years old. Like I feel because I was cutting for 115, and I always had to run 20 kilometers, which is 60 miles every single day, and not eating properly, eating like 400 calories a day. That made my knees really weak. So every time when I started running, my knees were getting swollen, the meniscus got torn, and the tendons were getting just snapping all the time. So I was keep dealing with those injuries for a long time.
Now that's a crazy number that you threw out, 400 calories a day to make the straw weight limit. And of course, you're now going to have this fight at flyweight. So, I mean, how different do you feel now? How much better do you feel? And, has your eating improved kind of drastically?
To be honest, when I was fighting on 115, I understand maybe it was better for me when I was in the cage because my opponents were not bigger than me, but all the training camp was a nightmare. 3 months being on a strict diet, and when I'm saying strict diet, I'm just saying like a few vegetables and a piece of chicken that was half of the size of my hand for a day. That was for a day training, another 2 3 hours a day, and running 20 kilometers a day. That was a lot, and was a lot of damage and pressure on my body. And I tried to fight to be active and just fight every 2 3 months, and I did it for 3 fights in a row. But then my body was getting really weak, so I was pushed. Like I really needed to make the change back to flyweight. I'm not saying I cannot make 115 anymore because I can, but my body will be again really weak, really fragile. So it really feels nice to go back at 125 because I'm around 130 pounds right now, which is almost nothing. I feel like I have been 130 pounds for the last 1 week already, and I still have 3 weeks until my fight. So for me, right now, it's pretty easy having just to maintain the weight and not actually being stressed that I may not be able to make the weight. That's another thing because all my last training camps, I had to focus on the weight more than my fight. Like the only moment I actually thought about my fights was after the weigh-in, after when everything, I start eating again, and then I was like, oh, it's done. Oh, actually, it's not done. I have to fight. Actually, this is the most important. But I was always so scared of missing weight because I knew how hard it is. And that's why I was always stressed, always running a lot. I broke my foot, still running, just because I needed to do it to make sure I make the weight. When people were asking me before I fought Molly McCann if I'm worried about her missing the weight, I'm like, I'm the tallest girl in the division. I'm the tallest girl at 115 pounds. So I think I'm the girl that has to cut the most weight for making the 115 to the 115 weight class. And I was like, no, I don't care about other people. I am the person that I'm worried to not miss the weight. And was a that was a really hard wake cut for me. I really thought I'm gonna miss the weight. The morning when I was already going on a bus to go to the Apex to check the weight, I was like, I can make it. I still had 0.6 pounds that I thought I'm not gonna drop them, but I was keep spitting in a cup, keep trying to go to the bathroom, keep trying to do something just to get those 0.6 pounds. And after that, of course, I had to take the decision to not fight at 115 anymore because my body couldn't handle it.
So was it that fight where you kind of made a decision in your head to go back to flyweight, or did that decision come later?
I knew since I fought in Vancouver in June 2023, I knew I'm gonna have to move up to flyweight soon because it was already from the start was hard for me to make 115, but I had to make this transition down a weight class. First of all, because I wanted to see how is to not be the smallest person in the division and fight all these big people, you know. So I needed that for myself, and I'm really happy I did that because I want to be a coach in the future, and I'm happy I learned those lessons. Like I know how is to have a hard weight cut. I know how is to cut, I don't know, 35 pounds in less than a month. So I kind of needed that, and I'm really happy I did that. And yes, I knew since I fought in Vancouver, I knew I'm not gonna be able to make the weight for long, especially if I want to stay active. Because I wish I can take fights in short notice, but unfortunately, having to cut so much weight is no chance for me to make weight. Even if I'm healthy and I'm able to fight, I will not be able to make weight. But on the other side, at 125, it will be a lot easier.
Well, glad to see that you're doing a little bit better now with the weight cut and not having to stress so much. You mentioned Vancouver. That's a card that we were both at, and you said something in the press conference there that kind of twigged with me. And you said you do 20K runs, and you've also mentioned your knee problems. How often do you do these 20K runs?
Every single day. That was the problem. That's why my body got so weak, and I had to make this change to go up a weight class because I didn't run because I wanted to do it or because I needed my cardio. I know how to deal with building my cardio even without running at all. But because of my weight, I had to keep sweating. No, I couldn't just do the bike. I feel like doing bike is just for when I'm lazy, like hitting the bag once in a while, just when I don't feel like training. But I had to run 10 kilometers in the morning and 10 kilometers at night after training every single day just to make the weight. So if you remember, before Vancouver, 3 4 weeks before the fight, I broke my foot. I actually had a bone fracture and a torn ligament close to my big toe, and was so painful every single day to keep put the shoes on. And like just putting the shoes on with a fractured bone was really painful. I even posted an X-ray to my foot because people were not believing it. But I even posted an X-ray of my foot so they can see that was actually a fracture there. And yes, it was really painful, but I still had to go through it because if not, the weight would have been a problem.
That's wild. You've got this fight coming up in April now. Training at House of Champions, of course. Do you cross train as well? Because of course Niagara Top Team is not too far away. Do you cross train with those guys as well?
Not really lately. We used to do that a lot more in the past, but lately I feel like Jasmine is a lot busier with her fights, and I'm busier with my injuries all the time. So she asked me, I think last year, to help her with some sparring, but was the time when I was injured, so I couldn't. And now I can't ask her to help me with my training because I know she trains for Jessica Andrade, and me and Jessica Andrade, we are not the same style, so also don't want to interfere with her training for her fight. So I'm just having other girls and other guys, from my gym and gyms around that they come and help me.
Gotcha. And, I know during your time off, you actually worked as a cut woman for Unified MMA. What was that experience like?
So first of all, it happened just, it just had to happen. So I was already on my way to the event just to watch the event. I was in the car close to the venue, and then my coach calls me. He was already there. We had some fighters that night fighting in the event, so he was already there. And then he calls me and he tells me that one of the catmans couldn't make it. I don't know why, what happened. And then he's like, "Do you want to do this?" And I was looking at myself, and I had a super tight, short leather dress and some that I don't know type of army boots. And I'm like, the only thing I can do the way I'm dressed, it's I don't know, be the girl with the rounds. I'm like, I can't be a Catwoman dressed like this. And he's like, "Oh, don't worry, we're gonna find some clothes." I'm like, "Well, if you're gonna find some clothes for me, I'm gonna be fine. I can do it." Then he found some unified sweatpants, some boy sweatpants that are already bigger. And then he wanted to give me a sweater, a unified sweater. I'm like, "I can't do that. It's so hot here. I'm going to just boil myself alive." But they found a t-shirt. So that's why the first time I'm wearing some sweatpants, a t-shirt. I was totally not ready for that. I was already preparing to be a Catwoman because I always liked it. And how I said, I want to be a coach in the future. So I want to know how to deal with injuries in training and fights. So I was already preparing for it, already wrapping hands, already stopping bleedings. And I was happy because my coach he always had all the cutman stuff with him, like all the end swells and stuff. So he had all the tools with him, and he just told me that's how you do it. And I'm like, okay, I just hope nobody bleeds tonight.
That's very cool, and I like the mindset that you have. That if you want to be a coach, you got to kind of know every aspect of the fight game. So getting that experience as a cut woman, great idea. Um, April 5th, your return. Was there any talk? And I know this would have put things out a little longer, but was there any talk of the Montreal card and you fighting there?
No, I already asked to fight in March before I even knew about the Montreal card. But at the same time, I would not have wanted to wait for so long to fight in Montreal. Like, when you don't fight for a year, you want to go there as soon as possible. To be honest, I really hoped I will fight at the beginning of March and then be able to fight in Montreal in May. But now that I'm fighting in April, May will not really work. And especially the way I know myself, I may probably broke something again during the fight, so I can't make plans for after the fight. And anyway, I want to go to see my mom after I didn't see my family for 4 years. So right after the fight, I'm gonna fly back to Romania for 3 weeks.
It's very good to hear you get to do that. And there's going to probably be another Canadian card later in the year, so you might be able to jump on that. Let's talk about the fight, though. Dione Barbosa, she's had a bit of a layoff as well, I think in her case since July. Her third UFC fight, from what you've seen of her, what are you expecting on April 5th?
I know she's gonna be aggressive at the beginning, and I know she's gonna try to take me down like every other fighter, like everybody tries to take me down. So of course I'm preparing for that a lot. And but at the same time, I know she cannot really handle the pace, like the pressure. So that may be, that may be my way to win the fight. Also, she has a lot of holes in the game. She's a judo girl or jiu-jitsu girl, and I'm pretty sure she learned striking later, or I don't know, but she has a lot of holes that I can have it as a target. So I'm really gonna try to hunt those positions. Like I watch and rewatch her fights, her last 2 3 fights, and she does pretty much this a few mistakes that she keep repeating them. She keep repeating them. So that means that's her reflex and that's her style, which I'm gonna try to wait to see those openings and of course capitalize on it.
I know you mentioned there the takedowns like every other fighter you face, and you've always said you hate huggers. Have you spoken to your manager? Have you ever said, like, hey, don't get me any of these huggers, just get me a pure striker?
Well, I'm the person that I don't care who is in front of me. Like, I will never say no to a fight, only if I'm injured, only if it's not at the weight class that I want. Actually, UFC offered me a different fight before at 115, and unfortunately, I love the fight. I love the matchup, but I couldn't. There was no chance for me to make 115 anymore. So I don't care who they offer me. I'm just gonna say yes because I don't know. They can offer me the champion. I'm still gonna fight. I'm not gonna just run away and pick fights. I hate when people pick fights, and I feel like a lot of people wonder like, oh, your record in UFC is not that great, how are you still there? Well, because I don't pick my fights and because I'm maybe an entertaining fighter, maybe that's why. I feel like UFC usually has troubles with a lot of fighters because they're like, oh, I'm not fighting this dude, I'm not fighting this dude, I'm not fighting this dude. But there it's me that I'm like, yeah, okay. Every time when my manager, my coach, he is also my manager, and he tells me, okay, they offer you this person on this date, I'm like, okay, whatever. Yeah, just say yes. I'm not gonna back up on that. That's for sure.
Love the mindset. How much pressure do you put on yourself ahead of this one, though, coming off of a couple of losses? And I know before the McCann fight, you said after Carolina, maybe you thought you were done, and then you got the Molly McCann rematch, and you kind of got fired up for that. So, how much pressure is there on you going into this?
Well, how I said, my body takes a lot of damage already. Like I feel like my body, it's the damage for all those years. It's like it's getting me, it's reaching me. So I don't think I'm gonna be able to fight for too long time. So right now, I already have plans for my life that even if I'm gonna fight after this fight or not, it's not gonna change much. Like my life, I already changed my plans. I plan to open my own gym in the States. So I plan to do this after summer, which is pretty soon. So it doesn't, to be honest, the result of this fight doesn't really matter for me right now, winning or losing. Of course I want to win, and I want to not just win, but win in a big way. But I feel like that really makes me feel comfortable and not having this pressure. Oh, what if I'm going to lose? It's going to be bad. because I don't really care. I'm gonna go there and try to enjoy the moment, and I'm gonna actually be able to put it on a show because I'm not gonna be scared of losing. I feel like most of the fighters they get very nervous because they don't want to lose, but when you don't have this pressure on you, then it feels a lot better. You feel like, okay, I can do whatever, I don't care anyway. So not having to cut so much weight and not having this pressure, it's gonna actually help me to be myself in a cage and not be like I'm walking on eggshells.
Very interesting. You mentioned opening your own gym in the States. Whereabouts in the US? Like, do you have a location scouted and everything?
Yes, I'm gonna move to Indiana, close to Chicago. Yeah, like 2 hours and a half, 3 hours from Chicago. Yes, I'm gonna move there, and I'm gonna probably move there in June or July.
Wow, big moves, big changes. You mentioned that maybe you can't do this too much longer because of the body, and you're still very young, but you've also been doing this for a long time. It's been over 10 years now since you've been a pro. When you started out, did you ever think, 10 years from now, I'm going to be fighting in the UFC?
So when I started fighting MMA, it actually happened by mistake because I thought it's a kickboxing fight on the undercard of an MMA event. And it's funny because it happened 11 years ago on April 5th. And now I'm fighting on April 5th. And there is a chance that this may be my last fight. Who knows? So it's really interesting, and I'm gonna take this. I'm Romanian, I'm from the land of witches and vampires and all the superstitions, so I'm very superstitious. So I'm gonna take this as a sign. Fighting on April 5th, 11 years ago, I made my debut, my mistake, and right now I'm here fighting again, and this can be my last fight, or this can be another boom, can be something big that's gonna actually bring me back in. Not having to cut so much weight, not having the pressure, maybe it's gonna make me love it again a lot and want it to keep doing it after. So it's really interesting how it's gonna play.
It absolutely is. Well, I hope it's something big. I hope you get that love of it, and I hope to see more of you. I'm going to ask you one more before I let you go, Diana. And again, thanks for the time today. Really appreciate it. Just give us a prediction. April 5th, how do you see this fight playing out? Do you have a finish or anything in mind?
Well, of course, I have finish in mind, and I'm sure every fighter that you ask, it's gonna tell you that they want to finish the fight because that's why we are fighters. We don't go there just to win fights. If you are a fighter that you just go there to win fights, then you should stop fighting. We go there to knock people out, and of course, I'm gonna try to do it as soon as possible. I told you I'm gonna need some time to hunt those openings that I can see on Yona's game, but once I get the rid of it, I really think I can finish this fight, and that's all.
All right. Looking forward to it. April 5th, UFC Vegas 105 at the Apex in Las Vegas. Diana, thanks again for the time. Best of luck in the fight.
Thank you for the invite. Thank you.
Not a problem. Have a great day. Stay dry. It is thundering and just pouring out here. All right. Have a good one.
Thank you.